Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Get Decked, the video series where I build budget casual Magic the Gathering decks for your games night and that you can use to introduce friends and family to the game. In this episode we're going to look at Dino-Might, which is a red and green deck. So we've kind of had, the last few decks I feel have been kind of gimmicky, so I wanted to do just a really straightforward red-green aggro dinosaurs using some of the nice new cards that have come from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So before we get into the looking at the deck, we'll just quickly go over the Get Decked rules. So we set ourselves a budget of $30 or less at time recording. Decks 60 cards intended for 2-player games. We've got no format restrictions. We aim for low to mid complexity, so they're ideal for newer players to pick up and play. And just because it's a casual deck doesn't mean it has to be weak or bad. So let's dive into this. So the deck list we got here, 27 creatures, 3 instants, 6 sorceries, and 24 land. We've got a mana curve off to the side there, more like a mana brick, probably, I would say. We've got some big expensive dinosaurs, but who doesn't love dinosaurs? And I say, we're playing casual games. We're not so invested in having a really optimum mana curve, I suppose. Anyway, let's start looking at the deck, and firstly, we're going to discuss how we're winning. Well, unsurprisingly, we're going to be winning with attacking with giant, angry dinosaurs. So let's look through some of those. So we've got 3 belligerent yearling. So 1 a red for 3/2 with trample. Whenever another dinosaur enters the battlefield under your control, you can have belligerent yearlings base power become equal to that creature's power in turn. This is an absolutely bonkers card. I'm saying this as a veteran of Magic the Gathering. 10 years ago, this would have been a chase rare, like easily, I think. For it to be as it is now, just like a pretty strong uncommon. Like it's not even going for that much money. I think is a real testament to like how much the power has really ramped up in the game. I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing. Games have got to evolve and adapt and improve over time to stay fresh. But yeah, it's just really funny like comparing this to some of the red 2-drops we had like say 10, 15 years ago, and it's just insane comparison. But in the deck here, Belligerent Yearling is obviously pretty good. Like 2 mana just for a 3/2 trample on its own would be sort of okay as well. But like this ability is really fun, I think. And there's a whole bunch of other dinosaurs in the deck that trigger this ability, so it can swing for higher later in the game. So yeah, I really like this. Had to include this. I think it's just a great card. We got 3 charging Tuscadons, 3 in double red for a 4/4 trample. If it deals combat damage to a player, it deals double of that damage to that player instead. So we always like seeing something where it says double damage. So yeah, this is only in here just because it's a particular favorite card of mine. I just think it's like a really fun ability and stuff to have its kind of excess combat damage become doubled. I mean, it doesn't even have to be excess combat damage from trample, does it? It's just if it gets through unblocked, that's 8 damage. So yeah, I just thought it was another fun big red dinosaur to have. And then we've got 3 giant Cindermore. So this is from Brothers War, actually. So 2 in a red for a 4/3 trample. Players can't gain life. I don't think we've got any life gain in the deck from what I remember. So this is like barely a drawback for us. And again, like Belligerent Yearling, it's just really like efficiently costed. 3 mana for a 4/3 trampler is obviously pretty good. And I say the drawback is not really a drawback for us. So those are our big angry red dinosaurs. We've got some green dinosaurs as well. So we've got 3 Colossodactyls, 2 in double green for a 4/5 reach and trample. Again, just really efficiently costed, like 4 mana for 4/5 with like 2 pretty decent abilities. It's just here because it's really efficient. Same with Crested Herd Caller, 3 in double green for 3/3 trample. And when it ends the battlefield, it makes a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token, which also has trample. So 5 mana to make 6 powers worth of stuff is obviously also pretty good. So just really solid, efficient dinosaurs just to flood the board with, big angry dinosaurs that we can just swing with and do a bunch of combat damage. And then we've also got 3 Palani's Hatcher, 3 red and green for 5/3. Gives all your other dinosaurs haste, which they all appreciate, obviously. When Palani's Hatcher enters the battlefield, you make 2 dinosaur egg tokens. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control 1 or more eggs, you sacrifice an egg, and then you make a dinosaur creature token. So yeah, this is effectively, again, it's making, 11 powers worth of things, sort of, eventually. You're basically swinging that 3/3 the turn you play it, which is obviously completely fine. It's obviously benefiting the whole board by giving them more haste. I thought this was like a really fun card out of Lost Caverns, and I thought to include it, just because it seemed pretty fun. And then we've got 4 Restless Ridgeline as a non-basic land. So it ends the battlefield tapped and gives you red or green. And you can spend 2 red and green and turn it into a 3/4 red and green dinosaur creature until end of turn. And whenever it attacks, it gives another attacking creature +2/+0 to end turn, and then untap that creature. So it's doing a lot for a an animated land. I would honestly kind of just be fine with it turning into a 3/4 with no abilities, but like it just keeps going with its abilities. So yeah, that's pretty good. And obviously that buff can work really well on like charging Tuscadon or basically any dinosaur. So yeah, have a full playset of those. So what helps us win? So these are sort of like buffs and ramps and that kind of thing. So you've got 3 Drover of the Mighty, 1 and a green for a 1/1. So it's a little mana dork here. Gets +2/+2 as long as you control a dinosaur. Like not a hard condition to meet in the deck. He's the only non-dinosaur in it. And he taps to give you 1 mana of any color, which is obviously pretty good. He's a little mana dork, helps you ramp up into those dinosaurs. Yeah, and also we're weighted more towards green here, so having him as an extra source of red mana is pretty decent as well. And then another like really good dinosaur from Lost Caverns, Earthshaker Dreadmore, 4 and double green for 6/6 trample. So like immediately outclassing original Colossal Dreadmore, like the legend itself. When it ends the battlefield, you draw a card for each other dinosaur you control. So I think even drawing like 1 card off this, I think is really good. Like for 6 mana to be a 6/6 trample and also draw a card. If you're drawing two or more cards of this, like it's such a good deal. I think you could draw like a whole bunch of cards off this, like such a good efficient creature. So Lost Caverns was really good to dinosaurs. I think gave them some really nice new cards to play with. We got 3 Commune with Dinosaurs. So 1 green mana. You look at the top 5 cards of your library. You can reveal a dinosaur or a land card from amongst them, put into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in your order. So yeah, you either pick the dinosaur that you really want, or if you desperately need it, it can be a land search as well. Like get a land out of there. It can get a non-basic land, which matters for the ridgeline. So yeah, this is just in here because it's just nice like sort of turn 1 play, I think. And then we've got 3 Evolution Charm. This is one of my favorite cards from sort of like an older set. This is all the way out from Planar Chaos, and also I thought it tied into the theme of like evolution, dinosaurs, that kind of thing. So it's more of a thematic pick than anything, but it does have some useful effects. So 1 green at instant speed, you either search your library for a basic land card, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. So it's a land search if you need it. Return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's like a raised dead effect in green, which like it can get sometimes, but not a lot. It's not common. So this is nice. If one of the if one of your bigger, more important dinosaurs gets killed, you can bring it back. And this is the real thing. Target creature gains flying to end turn, so you can give one of those big dinosaurs flying, give it some much needed evasion to either block an attacking creature flying, or more likely, let it fly over and hit your opponent, get out of the way of blockers on the ground. So yeah, really like Evolution Charm. But now we need to discuss what stops our opponent winning. So we've got some options here. So we've got 3 Thrashing Brontodons, so 1 double green for a 3/4. You can pay 1 and sacrifice to destroy target artifact or enchantment. So this is just like a nice bit of utility, I think. Obviously, it can serve as like a pretty good like beat stick anyway. Like it's a 3/4 for 3, which is obviously okay. It's really just here because it is utility to get to like have a naturalize effect tacked onto it. So that's why it's under this section. And then in terms of actual burn, we got Triumphant Chomp, 3 of those. So 1 red mana. It does damage to target creature equal to 2, or the greatest power amongst dinosaurs you control, whichever is greater. So this has like a really high ceiling. So I think the highest power we've got here is the Dreadmore at 6. So doing 6 damage for 1 red mana is pretty good. Obviously, it can't hit players, it can't hit planeswalkers, but it clears blockers out of the way, which is what we want. So then we can swing in with the dinosaurs. So now we obviously have to discuss what stops us winning as well, because that's always an important thing to discuss. So apart from a meteor strike, the other things we have to worry about when playing dinosaurs is we got, as I said at the start, we've got like a mana brick, not a mana curve. So we've got like some really high cost creatures in here. And quite a few of them have double pips as well, which does hurt in a 2-color deck, especially the red ones. I say we are leaning more towards green. So we do have like some land search abilities with the Commune with Dinosaurs, and like the Drover of the Mighty gives us mana. Evolution Charm lets us search up land, but like that's always something to consider. Like we might be it's a bit of a hungry deck in terms of playing cards. The other thing as well is, and this is mostly because I just couldn't really find room for them, I suppose. I suppose you could cut some of the creatures. We maybe don't need 27 dinosaurs. But Yeah, we don't have any buff spells that are like instant speed, like Titanic Growth, like an instant speed, cheap one like that, or like a board wide one like Overrun. So that's a potential change you could make if you wanted to adapt it. Maybe dropping. I don't know why I would even drop for like some of these buff spells, but like you could definitely like play around with it. I think for sure. But yeah, just to be aware, kind of like the power and toughness we've got printed on our dinosaurs is like what we're stuck with. We've got no way of increasing it. So, what did you think of the deck? Did you like the look of it? Is it a deck that you would like to play, or would you make some changes to it, like I was sort of just discussing there? Or do you have like a friend or family member who you would like to introduce with Magic the Gathering, and like this is a deck that you think they might enjoy? Like everyone knows a dinosaur fan, right? Who could probably enjoy playing this deck. Stick a comment below. I'll stick a link to the deck list as well below. But yeah, if you got any thoughts or comments about the deck, stick a comment below. I'll give those a read. Always like doing that. But I'll be back next time again with another budget casual deck for you to look at and enjoy. So we'll see you next time. Until then, thanks for watching and have a great day.